global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. We're so excited to have you again. Still talking about the outcome of today's court case between Nnamdi Kanu and the federal government, and the fact that he was supposed to do the needful, that's to begin his defense, which he had declined. The court has threatened him over failure to open his defense. And interestingly, James Omotosho warned him today, that's talking about Kanu, that if Kanu fails to begin his defense on November 5th, the court will foreclose his right to do so and proceed accordingly. And this was exactly what he said. He said the defendant has been given adequate time to prepare. If by November 5th he fails to open his defense, he will be deemed to have waived his right. This is really serious. And this is tantamount to the fact that Kanu himself has insisted that there was no valid charge pending against him, describing the ongoing trial as a nullity. Let me quote his word. Kanu says, as Nnamdi Kanu says, I will not enter any defense because there is no valid charge known to law against me. I should not be detained any further. I want to be released immediately because there is no lawful basis for this trial. He further argued that continuing the proceeding amounted to a violation of his constitutional right. Now, leading prosecuting counsel Adegbo Yega, Awomolo, senior advocate of Nigeria, criticized Kanu's approach, accusing him of deliberately attempting to waste the court's time. Awomolo described the document recently filed by the defendant as procedurally defective and urged the court to treat it as his final address. In his word, the defendant said, the prosecuting lawyer said, the defendant is only interested in dragging the matter endlessly. We urge the court to deem the documents he filed as his final written address and adjourn for judgment. And judge granted him final opportunity. He says in his ruling, Justice Omotosho held that the document filed by Kanu were properly before the court and would be considered at the stage of judgment. Acknowledging that Kanu is not a legal practitioner, the judge said it was necessary to give him another opportunity to consult a lawyer and prepare his case. Let me share his word. Well, that's talking about James Omotosho. He said, the court takes judicial notice that the defendant is not a lawyer. He is therefore given one final opportunity to consult counsel and enter his defense. Justice Omotosho then adjourned the case until November 5th, warning that failure by the defendants to act by that date will result in his right to defense, the right to defense being deemed forfeited. Now we're going to be looking at different aspects of this case. I'm going to look at it objectively. You understand? There is no iota of bias in what I'm going to do here. Now, interestingly, this particular ruling, today's case, I would say carry a very significant legal, political, and social ramification for Kanu, for IPOP, and even for Nigeria, which is already very fragile when it comes to our unity. Now, the legal implication, let's share it together. Foreclosing the defense would likely result in a conviction on his terrorism cases. Trying to be very unbiased here, because as the court would proceed to sentencing him without his input, for me, it's not good enough. No, he has given his reason that they don't even have the right because of what they were already evidence on ground that everything is nullity based on his presentation. He says that he was tried based on Terrorism Act, I think 2013, while that have been repealed a long time ago. That's precisely in 2022. There was a new one that, cancelled off this one. But why should they still be treating him based on the previous one? That was his position. But interestingly, if he does not go ahead with the defense, the court would proceed to sentencing him without his input. And this could mean life imprisonment, telling you, because this whole thing is unreasonable felony. I think that's why they are giving him more chance, giving him one final chance, which is tomorrow. And it underscores the limit of procedural right. While Kanu can't be forced to defend himself, the court won't indefinitely tolerate what it's viewed as stalling tactics. Because if you listen to what his own guy was saying, talking about the prosecuting counsel was saying, he said it was a tactic to delaying the case. That if they do not go out, that if they keep following him like this, it therefore means there is no way that this case will end anytime soon. And Justice Omotosho seems not to be, is not ready to begin with Nnamdi Kanu. He wants to go ahead with the case. So they are making demands on him that please seek the help of a lawyer. But the man said, I don't have a case. But interestingly, I would say that Kanu's strategy, challenging the trial's validity from the outset, could form the basis to appeal to a higher court. So no matter what will happen, based on the fact that he is declaring it a nullity, it will give room for him to, contest the case in appeal court and even go as far as Supreme Court. And not just Supreme Court alone, he can also go an extra mile, maybe meeting with international bodies like the ECOWAS Court or UN Human Rights Committee, which have previously criticized his detention as being arbitrary. Yeah, that's true. They have criticized it. The likes of, Finn, his international lawyer, has gone an extra mile in doing all of that. And everyone seems to look at it as it's totally wrong for him to be extraordinary rendition to Nigeria. And with him too, he's standing by that. So no matter the verdict that may come out at the end of the day, he has that exclusive right of dragging the case beyond this court, to a more higher court, talking about the appeal court and the Supreme and possibly other international court. And this is going to be interesting. But also, let's look at the position of this case from a political perspective, looking at it as considering the political implication of it. And for me, I think that I stand corrected that this case symbolizes the Nigerian government headline stand on separatism, especially under Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, which has prioritized national unity amid insecurity in the southeast. Now, Kanu's refusal to engage, it's something that should make the government reconsider the political aspect of it to settle this, because already we are at the front burner of international politics right now. All eyes are on Nigeria, and guess what? Most of the international media seems to be scavenging for every information about the country. Nnamdi Kanu's case is very critical, and being critical now that Donald Trump is getting interested in Nigeria. I think that all should be done to ensure that this case is diplomatically, or let me use the word, not diplomatic, but politically resolved, so that we won't find ourselves facing more serious occasion. Don't forget that as we are talking right now, we also have bandits and other insurgents who are operating very freely. Nnamdi Kanu, whether we like it or not, has not been seen with anything, fighting the government, fighting Nigeria. But if the government could condescend to the point of saying, let us grant amnesty to Boko Haram and all of that, and you're tight-fisted when it comes to, the issue of Nnamdi Kanu, it can trigger a lot of things, which I don't want to go there, because whether we like it or not, this man has not really been, the Nigerian government, I would say, that they have not been fair to him. Come on. If people who already have been caught in the act, we could sit down with them and start negotiating. States, we see the states sitting down with them negotiating. And even some of those who have been caught in the act, we saw when they said we have repented, they granted them amnesty and they're living their lives right there. Why don't we call him to the table? Forget about all the that is going on. Call him to the table and say, this is the situation on ground. We are not tolerating anything like disunity. This is our position. This is what we have been able to do. We have Southeast Development Commission. We are doing this. Tell us, how do we reach out to your own people? And let's start from there. Let's negotiate, be on a negotiating table. And, than to go legally with him. It's not going to really help issue, because already, as I did say, Nigeria is at the front burner of international politics right now. So I think that the issue should be considered with all amount of carefulness, and looking at the social and security implication of this in the Southeast, where IPOP is, and seeing the intensity of his supporters, I feel that this will not help, because if at the end of the day, the legal implication of this thing comes to bear, whereby he's been sentenced possibly for life imprisonment or whatever, I don't know. I'm not trying to presume what will be the final verdict, but I think that it will not really help matters security-wise. Already, the international community is looking at the fact that people are mistreated and all of that. Though we heard Bwala came out and said that the people who started this issue of Christian genocide and Wahala, that it's actually the IPOP and the rest. But I feel that if the government continue in this trajectory, and everybody seems to be hard on him and all of that, it will not all go well for the Nigerian people. So I feel that at this point, the government should look for a better way of handling this, if not for anything, considering the fact that this man already have high level of support from Southeast. Supporters also, they view, let me not say they give you, they view the whole move against him as a symbol of marginalization. And they also believe that his potential conviction may spark protest. That's my belief. This conviction we are seeing, it may spark protest. Already everybody is looking, even Donald Trump is looking at Nigeria. We don't need this at this time. So whatever that is happening, I think that the man who is in charge of the case should be a little bit very careful, and should help Nigeria. Now, if Kanu proceeds without defense tomorrow, I would say that it will fast track a verdict, forcing Nigeria to confront a fallout of a suppressing movement which resulted to what happened from 1967 to 1970, and we don't want to see that happen. But however, at this point also, I think that the Southeast governor should also be able to reach out to the government so that this will not trigger more wahala. Because if you sentence him to life imprisonment or any other verdict, and it is deemed irreasonable, by his own people, you don't know what will happen. And we are looking for peace as much as possible. As much as we must not wait until it climax, before we now try to sort for a way of fixing it. Because that's how they said there was no money, ambassadors are not needed. Today we are hurrying to, to fix the issue of ambassadorial appointment, something that would have been fixed long ago, because he would have been the one to possibly interject all of this and have better discussion with, the president of the United States of America. But unfortunately, we didn't have. Now we are hurrying before 1 week. They want everything to be done, blah, blah, blah. Come on. The issue of Nnamdi Kanu should not be allowed to escalate to that level. That's what we would like to leave it. Let's meet our commission and talk more on this. What's your standpoint on the fact that he has been given a final